sensitivity training. And that, I guess that's a word that really angers so much of MAGA is sensitivity. I get it. You don't want to be sensitive. And I guess, I don't know, we can't, there's no language that's going to be, why do I gotta care about somebody else? Why do I gotta, why do I gotta be nice to everybody? I think, and you can't make anybody be nice to everybody, regardless of how they look, how they dress, how much money they have, that kind of thing. But man, oh man, it was that was an eye-opening experience. At least you're not black. We're not friends. We are not. Don't talk to me because I'm light skinned and you want to I'm not your ally. And that's what was so crazy about. I just thought maybe they would. I didn't want congratulations. I want to give hey, not for nothing, but you got a racist lady running your department on the mezzanine, just so you know. And there's actually a kid who does videos. He kind of looks like, again, right, this is by appearances, you would think he was a skinhead, right? And he talks about that and how comfortable racists are being around him and the things that they say. And I haven't had I have been around a lot of it, but not to the extent that he has. I mean, he talks about this thirst for violence and sort of getting people off the continent. I mean, well, the country, I guess. But I don't know. Now that we want Canada, and I guess is Mexico next? Who knows what the drive is? But it's just, can we just make racists uncomfortable again? Because man, they're so comfortable. They are so what in the what? Yeah, I can't. Let me take a quick break here and get to your phone call. 773-763-9278. That's the number to call and join the conversation. God, I forgot all about Marshall Fields. God, and then she got promoted. Not kidding. I'll be right back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Out Chicago.
The media has been manipulated with propaganda and fear, and this is what has brought us where we are today. More than ever, people are looking at just one news source, and that's
what they're doing, they're looking at their phone.
Phones. Well, that's their source.
They are looking
their source.
Yeah, I know. They are looking at their phone. They are hearing opinion. They're hearing misinformation. They are not looking at sources.
Catch Out Chicago every Sunday, 11 to 1 on WCPT 820. Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
We are so thrilled to have you here and looking forward to hearing from you, whether it's by calling or texting 773-763-9278. We've been getting a lot of first-time callers, some folks who have been listening for a long time and now feel motivated to call in. Some folks who are finding us. We need to keep spreading the word. If you know people who are like-minded, please let them know about WCPT and Heartland Signal. Our newsroom catches such great stories all over the country. Of course, these conversations are vital for what we're going through and making plans. And I did have someone reach out to me about making sure that I inform people about protests that are coming up. So I'll try to stay up to date on what's going on where. I know Joan mentioned that Indivisible has a meeting tonight out in Gurnee. Please Google Indivisible and you can find a chapter near you. There's a new one starting on the Northwest side. They have an event coming up soon, but they haven't locked down the details. So when I know more about that, I will let you know. I know Maggie O'Keefe, our friend, the committee woman of the 40th Ward, is also organizing with volunteers and people in her community, the 40th Ward of Chicago. So find the people, find the doers, find the people who are getting this stuff done. And I know this is not a first-time caller. It's our wellness check with Jim in Chicago. Hey, Jim, how you doing, my friend?
Hi, Patty. First of all, I have to say, Matt McNeil is terrific. When he lets it rip out, since an election, I hate to even hear him as a guest now, because just by himself, when he lets it rip,
yep,
he's hysterical. He's really hysterical.
He really is. For folks who don't know, Matt McNeil comes on at 9 o'clock. He's our brother broadcaster from Minneapolis, St. Paul on KTNF.
Yeah. He when he lets it rip, he's terrific. But after, you got Amy Goodman, probably the best reporter in the United States at the moment. Once she disappears, then I know it's time to sneak out of town one way or the other. But anyway,
boy.
You've heard Amy Goodman, have you, and Democracy Now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's great.
No, she's the best. She's the best in the United States of America, or anywhere that I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. But and honestly, God, so those two programs are terrific. But what I'm interested in today, Patty, is what do you think Stump's attitude toward Zelensky is when he was the first person, when he took that perfect phone call and tried to extort him to give information that caused the first impeachment, I think, in American history, wasn't it? Because I don't think Nixon was impeached. I take it back. Johnson was impeached after the Civil War. I think, yeah. But he was the first one in
after the Civil War, yeah.
Yeah. But he certainly, you would guess that he loathes Zelensky because of that and other reasons. But the way he's cutting him out of this deal is incredible. Now, you've got every person with a sane mind on said this is absolutely unthinkable, and little Marco is going along with it like it was legit.
Isn't that crazy?
Which is really crazy. And they're following this deep state narrative that Zelensky started the war. Zelensky started the war by
what? Being invaded? By what?
No, by being
if he just rolled over, yeah.
Yeah, getting men, women, and children killed. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Putin did it out of pure altruism. But the other thing is the idea that we're in this mess is just too much. But what else? There was some other thing I was thinking of. It's the deep state thing. Oh, yeah, the deep state. It's got this narrative. I heard that on Republican radio maybe a couple of years ago. They started this scenario that, Ukraine went to NATO, and they started with the religion there. That there are Catholics in Ukraine, and there's Eastern Rite and Russia. And they went through some, they going back to the 19th century. But remember, they were the ones. I also heard two ministers talking about cats and dogs one night on the radio. Oh, they're eating cats and dogs. They're eating cats and dogs. But anyway, it was the next day. That debate was the next day.
Oh. And all of a sudden, there was words coming out of his mouth.
Did you see? I think she was the greatest president pick for Democrats forever. I thought she was fabulous. Mm-hmm. But did you see the look she gave him when he blurted that out?
Yeah. Did you say blurted that out?
Yeah. Did you see the look on her face? And she couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it.
Yeah. No.
This is a presidential debate, and he's blurting it out.
Right.
Now, if that was a Uber I was in or a cab driver and he started saying cats and dogs, I'd jump out at the first stoplight. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. You'd be like, I'm out. We're done. This ride's over.
Not a presidential debate.
No.
But this is the nonsense about this deep state.
Yeah.
And like the people are calling you, they believe this alternative reality. How they did it is anybody's. But you're right there. Here's what we got to do. Like your son. We've got to get young people on the internet to subliminal messages, democratic messages constantly, just the way they did it on the internet. I don't know how to do it, Barry, because I don't go near the internet, but The younger people have to figure out a way to get messages because nobody's doing any really research. They're just going by bits and pieces. They're not. They're not exactly researching these subjects.
No.
You know what I mean, Patty?
Yeah, I agree.
But you've said it. You pointed it out before.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the things the Democrats have to do. They have to get this bombardment of reality back into the Americans.
And I really
psyche.
think, and maybe when the agencies start to hurt and feel more pain, they'll be more honest about why it's happening and just send out those letters to all the students that they serve, all the veterans that they help, all the seniors that they help with a letter that says, hey, we're going to cut back on our services. We're not going to be able to provide as many meals. We're not going to have our hours as long, or we're going to shut down our childcare because of the decisions of the White House. Every single person needs to get that letter. Yep. I mean, it's true.
A short explanation of why you're being deprived of this particular
service. Yep.
Service.
Exactly.
Anyway, Patty.
Thanks, Jim.
Don't worry about it, Patty, because there'll be plenty of people there that they'll have to get an army. Please believe me before they get to you, kid.
Well,
anyway,
oh
boy.
Well, my ratings aren't high enough yet. Maybe that's a good thing about flying under the radar. Thanks, Jim. Take care.
All right, Jim, take care.
Yeah, it's good. There's one benefit to being unknown. Thank you to one of our listeners. We've got a text. Hold on, let me reach over there. We got a text from our friend Marty in Park Ridge. There is an Indivisible Chicago protest tonight. Demanding, and I agree, demanding that Hakeem Jeffries be a leader. That there's a coup underway by the Trump administration and unelected billionaires, and now that Hakeem Jeffries is in Chicago, we need him to hear. Is there any chance that the minority leader is listening? Hello, please, Rep. Jeffries, we want you to be. That sounded too nice. I mean, okay, I got to reset, because here's the thing: if you want to be a leader, then lead. You might not have the title of the speaker, but you have our attention at any moment. And sending out letters that are overly wordy and over-explanatory, we need to be rallied. We need to know that somebody is in there ready to roll their sleeves up and get the job done to stop everything that's happening. Okay, that's a little more. Anyway, Indivisible Chicago has held rallies this week at the offices of the Illinois Democratic Party, meeting with them and their staff, and they're sharing their concerns. So they want to send a message to Leader Jeffries to lead. They're going to be at the Fine Arts Building. That's 410 South Michigan Avenue, right here in Chicago, of course. That is at the Fine Arts Building tonight, starting at 6:30. So if you're listening while you're downtown, or you have time to get an hour, anywhere in the Chicagoland area, you could get to the Fine Arts Building in an hour. 410 South Michigan Avenue. So look, for all the reasons, to gather with other people, to learn more about where the next protest is going to be, join those who are organizing. So thank you so much to our friend in Park Ridge for sharing that with us. Let's get to Paul in Seattle, who I know gave up on me yesterday. Hey, Paul, what's on your mind, my friend?
I was listening to your anecdote about where you work, and somebody said, you said you're Latino, and she said, well, at least you're not black.
Yes.
And the HR person, this is this was MAGA before MAGA was cool. How were you discriminated against? Well, you were the object of racial harassment in a hostile workplace. That's how.
Right. Well, and again, I was like 22, and I was like, okay, I guess. And that's the thing. That sends a message to me like, oh, this is how the world works. I mean, I didn't stay there long, but I feel bad for all the women that worked. And I didn't want to go around like, it's not also my job to be like, hey, you know what she said about you? It's like, why make them then self-conscious? I couldn't navigate that. I didn't know what I could have.
Well, no,
I wasn't an organizer.
You already are. You already are, because just because she doesn't say that to your face, the next thing she'll say, oh, that Patti Vasquez is, it's like, okay, I'm a white male. So if somebody says that, and I say, okay, I'm a blind white male. So if I'm in a place and I say to a new coworker, and they can't see that, but I'm sitting there. By the way, you can't tell when somebody who's blind is sitting at a table or whatever. It's not like we don't have a sign on our forehead, or we don't look blind. People say that you don't look blind. What does that look like to you? I mean, no, you got to look through my eyes. That's before I look blind. You start looking through my eyes. So if I sit there and somebody says something and I say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm blind. And they say, and if that person would say, well, at least you're not black, I would grab them and haul their ass into HR and say, this is what you just said to me. I literally would grab them and say, we're going to see HR right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they scream, if she screamed, I'd say, good, you're drawing attention to this situation. You attacked me. You made me the object of racial harassment. Just because I'm not black doesn't mean I haven't been injured.
Right. Yeah. Here's the thing I've learned from that moment.
We are all injured by it.
We are all injured by it. And here's the thing. I've also learned that HR is not a safe place for women of color to go at all.
Yeah. By the way, what can your black coworker do? I mean, if that's the attitude the HR person has to you, I mean, what kind of, you're in a rat trap. You're just a rat trap. That's just kinky. It's a hostile workplace, and probably because to say how were you discriminated? What a stupid thing to say.
Yep.
And that's somebody who I don't know how old was that person?
That person was probably like in her 40s. Yep.
Oh, okay. So then you were 22. So well, they probably grew up. They were in their 40s then. Well, they grew up. They likely were born while segregation.
Exactly.
I mean, if you were born before 1954, you were born in segregation.
Right. Yeah. Now it was
my older brothers. My older brothers were born in segregated America.
And that's the thing. That was the 1990s. That would have been 1995, 96. No, because if I was 22, like 93. But so that's the thing is all these people screaming about DEI. I can recall all the people who've been through these programs. Either they can or their parents know what the workplace has been like, and it's just now it's just that they have guardrails. All we're asking is for guardrails to give some opportunity to people to have a leg up in this society. But so
right. Well, and the whole point about it's DEI is to prevent the hiring of only unqualified white people, whether they're qualified or not. And I know MAGA would say they would be floored by that as if white people. What do you mean unqualified white people? Well, have you ever worked for an idiot? Yeah. Okay, so there you go. I mean, everyone knows that.
I know, but then it's a whole bag of trouble. I'm saying, it's a lot. It's going to be so much. Not just we have to get through this, but then recuperating from this, piecing it all back together again is going to be a lot of work.
How would you think about it? A leader throughout history, you cannot. There have not been successful leaders. I'm talking about through ancient history, even that start out by dividing their nations. You can't do that. As a matter of fact, one of the primary fundamentals of conquest. I mean, I learned this in college. Is that what the Romans did to be successful conquerors was to assimilate those. You don't want to alienate those who. That's even in conquest. And if you're going to lead a country, you can't start by creating divisiveness and division. So that Donald Trump actually would rather lead a country where his supporters are in the minority, but that's what he really wants. He would never want to lead a nation in which he had a 90% approval rating. He would hate that because that way, he's not winning. Then see, if everybody supports him, he's not. Because to him, winning means you've got to put somebody down. Yeah,
you have to be and he has to be the victim of their hatred.
And he has to be a big.
I got to run.
Yeah, he's always a victim.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Paul. Have a good one.
Take care.
Talk to you soon. Bye. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk to Mary Gibson, who is running for City Council of Naperville. While we're on break, if you want to take a look at her website, maryfornaperville.com, and we'll learn more about her when we come back. All my listeners who are on hold, we will get to your calls because the rest of the show is all yours, folks. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy tonight, a low temperature of 11 degrees. Friday looks mainly sunny with a high of 30 and winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10. Saturday, sunshine with a high temperature of 34. On Sunday, cloudy skies with a high temperature of 42. Monday, partly sunny and a high of 48. Tuesday, cloudy, high of 46 degrees. And for Wednesday, showers with high temperatures again in the mid-40s. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 24.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter. Stephanie Miller.
It's another true Stephanie Miller Show story, Chris Lavoie. Yeah, from with Jane in St. Charles, Illinois. It's real. Stephanie Miller fans are everywhere. We're meeting in parking lots. It happened just yesterday. I got to my car after leaving the grocery store. There was a woman loading her groceries in the car. She had a radio on to WCPT 820 Progressive Radio. I couldn't resist. I said, I think we would qualify to say that we listen to the Stephanie Miller Show. We both laughed and said, yes, we would. I love it.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on WCPT 820. Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversey Beer, Wine and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities, in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our conversation. And as I talk about quite frequently on the show, the people that you elect in your own communities are the most important people that will serve you because they affect your lives directly. Joining us right now is Mary Gibson, who is running for city council. And I'm curious, Mary, where did you grow up, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Oh, hi, Patty. Thank you so much for having me. I actually grew up in Lisle, so just next door to Naperville.
Oh, yeah. You're like me. I live about a mile and a half south of where I grew up. It's just familiar, and I like it. That's all.
Yeah, and my family's still there, so it's really nice to be close to family.
Has your family been in the past civically active? Like, were you going to like city council meetings when you were a kid? Were you aware of the kind of stuff they were doing?
A little, and I don't think I realized how much it impacted me until later. I remember growing up, there was a big development in Lisle that was on the docket, a Meyer on Maple. And I remember marching up and down Maple with my mom and our neighbors, chanting "No Meyer on Maple." So that probably had some impact.
Yeah.
My mom was president of the PTA growing up. It's one of those, I think, as a kid, you don't realize how much your parents do in the community and how much they sacrifice and lead until you're an adult looking back. So I definitely had some great role models in my family.
Oh man, you mean I have a shot with my kids that they'll realize all helping
I don't know, the jury's out with mine.
Right? I'm like, why do I go to the farmer's market? Just come and help me set up some tables. I'm just saying. So when did you get the bug? Did you go off to school to study anything in this area of civic leadership?
Yeah, a good question. So I did go to school and study history and poli-sci in undergrad. My dad is a big history buff, so we talked a lot about history, a lot of war movies, World War II movies growing up. So I had undergrad in history and poli-sci, and then I got my master's in social science from the University of Chicago after that.
Fancy.
Always cared about it was a great education. I was able to study a lot of things and have some amazing professors. But I've always cared about public policy and how communities work together to solve joint problems. And I'm a big academic buff. So even the last couple of years, I've gone back and got a certificate in public policy and a civic leadership certificate. I kind of just love learning and reading and finding out what's out there.
That's great. Where was your undergrad from?
My undergrad's University of Dayton in Ohio.
Okay.
There's a big contingent of Naperville people that go out there.
Oh, really?
Where I met my husband. So, I think a decent amount. So, but it was I kind of just did what I loved and figured a job would shake out. And I've been really lucky.
That's great. What was the first kind of work you did after grad school?
Good question. So I got a job in data analytics, and it was I started doing corporate, advising Fortune 500 companies on unforeseen risk, strategic opportunities, public sentiment. And then as I grew in the company, I was able to transition to the government side, and we worked with government agencies on big data analytics, kind of those same problems. And then Ferguson, Missouri, happened, and I was able to lead the team that we did public policy and outreach is what we called it. So we worked with nonprofits and local governments and used data to kind of help them bridge the divide on what officials were saying and what their community members were saying and thinking and feeling. So it was a really good education in listening to the community, and it's really helped me now because with my work. I'm the current president of the Naperville Park District, so I was elected in 2021, and so that professional background has really helped me the last couple of years.
That's excellent. And your kids you have little ones too, don't you? Are they? Is this picture? They're so cute and handsome.
Thank you. They ham it up for the camera.
Well, and this dog. I'm sorry, your kids look awesome, but what's this dog's name?
Pickles. Pickles steals the show. He's, yes.
Too cute. So how do they feel? Because when you run, your whole family runs for office, don't they?
Absolutely. They love it. So I actually had a fundraiser last night, and they were so excited. I think they thought it was like a birthday party for them. So they were great. My daughter was drawing name tags for everyone with little pictures and hearts and flowers around them. So I think they're really proud, which is awesome. At the age they're at now, I don't know how long that's going to last, so I embarrass them. But they know a lot about how local government works and civic responsibility and getting involved. So hopefully I'm laying a good foundation for them.
Well, we know that Naperville has been on list after list of the best places to live, to retire, to send your kids to school. So that's a lot of work that city council has been doing. So tell us a little bit about the services, the operations of city council, what they're responsible for.
Absolutely. So, a lot of the work they do is things the average citizen doesn't even know or have the time to care about, which is how it's designed, planning and zoning, what new developments come in, infrastructure. We are in Naperville, we're redoing our water treatment plant so it can get up to code for EPA requirements now. Our water infrastructure needs replacing. So a lot of, snow plows, leaf pickup, all these day-to-day services that everybody relies on for their livelihoods, both at home and work, is under the purview of city council, and also public safety. Our fire department and our police department, fall under city leadership.
I have it's the work you're doing now at the Park District. Just because I haven't really had a chance to talk to anybody who's working at your level recently when it comes to our lifeguard services. How have you guys been doing the last few years? Because I know that there was kind of a shortage of folks who were getting trained as lifeguarding. People were like looking. I was a lifeguard at North Avenue Beach, so I'm always curious about this. They're like dipping in. Like people have asked me if I would come back and guard. I'm like I would love to, but are you guys doing all right when it comes to staffing in those positions?
Yeah, great question. So I was actually a lifeguard too at Rice Point Water Park in Whedon. It was a wonderful job.
It was.
And I'm going to knock on wood. We have been really fortunate with our lifeguard positions. We have not had problems the last couple of years. One of the focuses at our park district has been recruitment and retention. Since I started my term there, our staff does a really great job coming up with creative ways to get new staff in the door. But I also think we just have a good environment. We have Centennial Beach in Naperville. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. But we have a really professional, well-run lifeguarding staff, and I think that is responsible for lifeguards coming back year after year.
That's great.
Knock on wood, we have not had any lifeguard staffing problems.
I don't want to jinx anything, but I mean that kind of goes to the whole conversation because people often want to know, well, what does my money go towards, right? And it is sort of those services that young people can get education and opportunities, but also teach younger kids to water safety and provide spaces in the summer and throughout the year where families can really trust when they go someplace that they're going to be safe and have fun, and that's the whole idea of a community like Naperville. And so what do you want? What do you hear the most from constituents when you go door knocking or appear at these events?
Door knocking. Well, the biggest thing I hear is our electric contract. So I'm not sure how much you're familiar, but Naperville is part of the IMEA group of municipalities that are co-owners on a coal-fired power plant. And our contract goes through 2035, but we're being asked to extend it 10 years early through 2055. So when I talk to people in Naperville, it's pretty wild. We had to decide whether we'd extend it or not by 2030 as it is. But this push from IMEA for early renewal has a lot of people concerned, especially at a time when the whole world is transitioning away from coal. The fact that we're entertaining doubling down on coal through 2055 just doesn't really make sense to a lot of people here in Naperville. So that's what I hear about the most. That's honestly one of the main reasons Park District is the best job in local government. So as my term was ending, it was a big decision. Do I, try to run for re-election at the Park District? But with this IMEA decision looming, I knew I had to throw my hat in the ring for City Council because it's just so impactful for Naperville now, but Naperville I hope my family lives in, generations from now.
Outstanding. Well, I thank you for taking up the challenge of running and for doing the work that you've done for the Park District. We've been talking to Mary Gibson, who's running for City Council. You can go to maryfornaperville.com. And for people who live out in your area, do you have any events coming up that you want to make sure they know about?
I do. Well, the St. Patrick's Day parade is coming up, and the Gibson kids love a parade. It's been their favorite part of me being on the Park District, is walking in the parade. So I'm really hoping we can get a big contingent. So if anybody wants to walk in the St. Patrick's Day parade with us, it's always a fun time. You get to meet a lot of people, see a lot of people. And they can find information about that on my website or my socials. My website's www.maryfornaperville.com. And the same thing with my Facebook is Mary for Naperville.
All right, your 30-second pitch for running for City Council of Naperville, Mary. Go ahead. Take it away, Mary Gibson.
Awesome. Well, thank you. My name is Mary Gibson. I am the current Naperville Park District President. I have a background in data analytics, an educational background in public policy, and a commitment to civility. I can work with people across different beliefs, perspectives, and opinions to get solutions for Naperville. I will represent all of Naperville, not just the people who vote for me, and I will be accessible and transparent and open about how decisions are made and how they affect your life. I would love your vote and your support on or before April 1st. Early voting starts March 17th, and you can learn more at maryfornaperville.com.
Excellent. The room's going crazy. And if Mary's message resonates with you, she needs your vote, your time and volunteering and showing up, and every campaign needs your contributions financially. So if you're drawn to her campaign, go find out more, maryfornaperville.com, and chip in and show up and get the job done. Mary, reach out and let us know if you need anything, okay?
Oh, thank you so much, Patty. I enjoyed chatting with you tonight.
Me too. Thank you so much. Go get them.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Let's take a break here, and we'll get to your phone calls when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. We do have a couple of lines open, and it is all calls the rest of the show, or me yapping, as per usual. 773-763-9278. You can call or text the same number. We'll be right back.
This is Tony Moray. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners. And we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience to help you. Please call me at 847-996-0496. My website is moreylawoffice.com. That's Morey spelled M-O-R-E-E. Again, the phone is 847-996-0496. There is no cost or obligation for our initial discussion. I look forward to speaking with you.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
Is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez. Now on WCPT 820.
By the way, I will be setting up an appointment with attorney Tony Moret, attorney at law. I will have some questions, and it's time for us to do some planning. My mom has led a very wonderful life and has accumulated. She's been able to buy property, and I want to make sure she feels safe and secure in the weeks and years to come. My mom was a federal employee. She was a computer programmer, and I just can't even imagine what families are going through right now, because I grew up in a household that would be very vulnerable in a situation like this. And I'm grateful that she was able to build a retirement that she is able to stay comfortable in. And I don't know what that's going to be like for so many people right now. We have the phone lines open, 773-763-9278. Steve in Chicago, you have been on hold almost the longest. I think you're kind of tied almost. Lady B is answering those phones fast. How you doing, Steve?
I'm hanging in there.
I know. I shouldn't even ask how you're doing. Just what's on your mind. Because it's so much pressure to answer people, isn't it? Like when you say how you're, I'm like, I can't. I'm not okay. I'm not. I'll be honest.
No, I get it. I'm hesitant to ask this, but given you touched on it earlier,
sure.
I think it's probably important that you and your fellow WCPT folks consider this. So you're very open about where the studio is, about where you work, about the neighborhood you live in. Are you taking precautions?
That's a very good question. And it's funny. And when I said earlier to, start getting ready, don't wait till you have to be ready. I feel like I am doing too much of the thinking about what I need to do and not doing enough of the things that I should be doing, to answer your question.
Yeah.
Yes. So in some ways, but maybe not in all the ways.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like the kind of thing you talk to management about doing all for everybody that works out there.
See, and one of the things, look, I will be very honest. I am not uncomfortable with a firearm. Let's leave it at that.
Do you carry one?
That's the part that I need to work on. I'm not uncomfortable with it. I just, I think that I guess part of the psychological hang up is I never felt until now that I should have one.
Yeah, I get it. I've never been drawn to carrying a firearm, and actually in 2016 when he got elected, that was the first time I ever thought, maybe you should. But have you trained on it?
Yes.
Have you gotten formal training?
Sure,
Okay,
I have.
Good.
Yeah,
because I always get it into. I always get into it with people on Nextdoor who are like, whenever somebody brings up crime, they're like, "Get a gun," and I'm always like, "Great," because that way when the guy with the gun surprises you and you're fumbling trying to get it out of your purse, he can knock you out, take your gun, kill you, and now he has two guns.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to, but that's the thing too, is like, you want to have muscle memory too, right? You want to, there are people who are always on alert, who train regularly. Yeah. I think that's a part of it too, is like, I have to make my choices. Is it going to be, hand to hand sort of training? Because I have done mixed martial arts. I have done, some combat training, not combat, but like physical, I've done jujitsu, some. Jen's always encouraging me to get back into it. But I've showed up for a couple classes, and the thing that was hard was that the class I showed up to was all white dudes who look at the kind of people, which would be good for training, since that's who I imagine I'll have to be wrestling with or defending myself from. But I don't want to start there. I'd like to warm up.
I was going to say, do it in a class where you're more comfortable.
Yes.
To get used to it, and then start mixing in, and like maybe even inviting somebody that you're personally comfortable with to try some things so that you can get used to it. No, I totally get that.
I used to go to a mixed martial arts studio called Deggerberg Academy here in Chicago. It was in Lincoln Park, and then I think they moved near Schurz. But I actually stopped. I went up to I was an orange belt, I think, and but the thing was, I was sparring, and this guy kept punching me in the face, and I didn't have headgear yet. And I was like, could you take it down a notch? I mean, like, look, if you could beat me if we were having a real fight. Could you just don't hit me in the face? That was annoying to me. That was my last class.
That was his personal fantasy that I get to hit a girl without any repercussions.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it felt like. So again, I need to take classes, but I need to take it to where I don't have to worry about being comfortable, because that's the whole point of being attacked. We work with a stretch therapist, and they were telling us that they took Krav Maga, and the things they were telling me about how that class goes, like apparently in their first class they spun them around and around and around and around, and then made them try to like defend themselves, and then
interesting.
Yeah, and then their fourth class, they did all these sort of like, if you're being choked and wrestled to the ground, how do you react? And they turned the lights off and then attacked them. So that was, so that's, I mean, like, I'm not ready for that yet. But those are the kinds of things that I'm thinking about. And making life, taking better care of myself. I'm working out every single day, not to the level I used to. I used to do CrossFit, so I'm going to get back to that level of feeling confident and strong. And I think that whatever it takes, for you, whether it's your mental safety, and that means, reading or listening to music, meditating, if you are up for, changing your lifestyle with food, maybe, cutting back or eliminating alcohol or any of the things you depend on, consider those things. And I think those are elements of what you're talking about too, Steve.
Yeah. Well, I'm also just, concerned about the physical safety of everybody who knows where you are from 5 to 7 every night.
Yeah, well, there's that. Yeah. At any rate, we have some precautions in place, but I will bring that up to the management.
Good.
Right.
That makes me feel better.
Yes. Thank you. And we have security cameras, so we'll at least see them, I guess.
Excellent.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, Steve. No, I agree. I hear you.
Yeah, that's why I said. That's why I was hesitant, but I was like,
no. I brought it up.
What if nobody is bringing? Yeah. What if nobody's bringing it up with management? Management's just like, everything's fine because nobody's bringing anything up.
Yes, and like I said, that's the beauty of only 100,000 people knowing who I am, as opposed to having a big Joe Rogan audience. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Being unknown has its benefits. That's all I'm saying. I just can't build a bunker. See, now if I had, that's the trade-off, isn't it? Is if I was at that level, you better believe I would have a bunker. Oh my husband's listening. He's like, oh, I would love to have it. I'm not kidding. I would, that would be my office. It would be like my mom cave would be my bunker. So yes, I would do that. So.
Well, that's why Stephanie Miller works out of her office.
I'm saying.
And doesn't tell anybody what the address is.
No, but she shouldn't tell us who her neighbors are.
That's true.
Because I actually know where some of the, anyway, yes. I'm not saying anything about where she lives. Now I got to shut up. All right. Take care, Steve. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's get to Cindy in Michigan. Hey, Cindy, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty. Well, obviously, you are hitting somebody in the gut with your show, because there was a time when WCPT was just this little teeny gem that kind of touched the hearts of people. And the more effective you are, the more threatened people are. Your job is, everybody there is doing a fabulous job. The lineup is great. You got Richard, he's doing a great job. Joan, of course, everybody. And I always figure the more I'm irritating somebody like that, then I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
But it's scary to have that responsibility.
As long as I don't think about it too much, I think. But I think to Steve's point, I do have to think about it, and I think about my kids first. I think about whether or not I should get Griffin dual citizenship somewhere else, because he is 21. Meaning, if anything were to go on globally, that I have to consider what would be best for his safety.
Draft.
Yep.
Yeah. And but I wanted to make a couple of other points, and you were talking about DEI, and that came up. I'm an older person who got a job as an older person. I was about 59 when I got my last job in a credit union. And when I got hired, I had basic computer skills, but I was not as quick as the young'uns in my branch. So when I went in for my interviews and everything, I sailed through with flying colors, and I'm like, okay, I'm not sure why, but all right. So when I finally talked to the manager when she hired me, she says, you are exactly what we want. She said, we need somebody who's older. We need somebody who's got, we can teach you the basic skills.
Right.
That's easy. What we can't teach these young people and the people that we have in the office are things like empathy, professionalism, loyalty, and respect for the confidential material. And because people's account numbers, I was looking at Social Security numbers all the time. A dishonest person could memorize something and walk out with a ton of stuff. They don't have to write it down. They just have to memorize it. So there were a lot of skeezy things that could happen if they didn't pick the right person. And I thought, that's what a DEI hire is. You look beyond just, well, that person has the basic skills and they're the fastest one who does it. That doesn't mean anything. If you just look at that, that doesn't really mean anything. Diversity means you're looking at a lot of things, not just color or, you're looking at a lot of things. So when I had a friend of mine who, the one that's so gullible, she said, well, I don't like all this DEI stuff. And I said, you don't understand. We are DEI. If we go in, if we go into a place and try to get a job, we're not the usual suspects that come in. We're not the youngest. We're not the fittest. We're not the most, educated. But we have something they want, some other types of things that, and inclusion is very important because when you come into a workplace, we had a tendency not to talk politics just so that people wouldn't be uncomfortable because we didn't know what each other's politics were. There was somebody who got mad because we weren't saying Merry Christmas, and I said, well, we do have Jewish customers. We do have some, people of other persuasions. So if I say Happy Holidays, it kind of covers everybody. And I had to explain that and do it in a way that wasn't insulting, but, try to be nice about it. But those are the kind of things, that's what DEI is.
Exactly.
But I also had a real quick point about what we need to do with Republicans with all of these cuts. People who are being cut from their jobs, who are getting their benefits cut, need to go to and make appointments at the congressional offices that represent them.
Okay.
And flood those offices.
There you go. From Cindy's point of view to yours. I got to run it. I'm up against the news. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Let's take this break because I just got a signal that I'm late.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-445-6363. That's 1-800-445-6363. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-445-6363. That's 1-800-445-6363.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump's Ukraine envoy met with President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv today amid growing tensions between the two leaders. No statements delivered, but Sagar Magani reports.
A top White House official says President Trump's growing criticism of Volodymyr Zelensky stems from frustration over what the Trump administration sees as the Ukrainian leader creating roadblocks to ending the war with Russia.
His frustration with President Zelensky is that you've heard is multifold.
For starters,
there needs to be a deep appreciation for what the American people, what the American taxpayer, what President Trump did in his first term.
And White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz says Zelensky has not shown that. Instead,
some of the rhetoric coming out of Kyiv, frankly, and insults to President Trump were unacceptable.
It comes a day after Zelensky said the president's living in a Russian disinformation space, and the president called Zelensky a dictator. Asked if the president also sees Russia's Vladimir Putin the same way, Waltz did not not respond, and also did not directly respond when asked which leader the president thinks is more responsible for the war. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Hamas has handed over the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages, including a mother and 2 young children. Joe Fetterman has a report.
This is the first time dead hostages have come home, and you can feel it on the streets in central Tel Aviv. The mood very somber as they're watching images of these hostages when they were alive. Israel's president issued an apology. He says the government and the country let down the families by not protecting them in that October 7th attack.
Hamas to free 6 living hostages Saturday. A marathon night of voting ahead in the Senate, Republicans looking to approve a $350 billion budget blueprint for a massive boost in defense and border security. This is AP News. The NBA in action with 9 games on the schedule. The San Antonio Spurs hosting the Phoenix Suns in Austin, Texas. And Gethin Coolbaugh reports they'll be without one of the league's top young stars.
Spurs star Victor Wembanyama is expected to miss the remainder of the regular season after being diagnosed with a blood clot in his right shoulder. The condition was diagnosed this week after Wembanyama returned from the All-Star game, the Spurs said Thursday. Wembanyama, the number 1 overall pick in 2023 and reigning NBA Rookie of the Year winner, has averaged 24.3 points and 11 rebounds through 46 games this season. It is a massive blow to the Spurs, who are contending for a playoff spot in the Western Conference. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
And in hockey's 4 Nations face-off, Team USA takes on Canada in the final tonight in Boston. The U.S. won the team's round-robin matchup 3-1, a game that saw 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy tonight, a low temperature of 11 degrees. Friday looks mainly sunny with a high of 30 and winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10. Saturday, sunshine with a high temperature of 34. On Sunday, cloudy skies with a high temperature of 42. Monday, partly sunny and a high of 48. Tuesday, cloudy, high of 46 degrees. And for Wednesday, showers with high temperatures again in the mid-40s. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 21.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest. Not a chance.
Or just
all text. You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Living it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hello. I hope that you're happy, healthy, and safe wherever you are today. We want to say hello to our friends listening in the evenings on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Of course, you can hear Matt McNeil in the evenings here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal out of Chicago. So glad that you found us. And by the way, don't forget that you can always catch us on TuneIn. You can watch the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. When you watch on the live stream, you can see the adorable little crocheted dumpster fire, my emotional support dumpster fire from our friend Bridget, who sent this in. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine until they find everything's just, it's fine. And at any rate, I want to thank our sponsor of the show, our sponsors. We have Source Solar. You can go to source.solar to find out more about the work they do. Maybe it's time for you to get solar panels on your house. Over 100,000 satisfied customers will tell you it's a good idea. I don't know if you want to talk to all 100,000. That's a lot of work, but you can find out more at source.solar. And of course, Minocqua Brewing Company. We broadcasted live in Madison from the tap room on Tuesday, which was a blast. Go to their website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, and subscribe to the newsletter. You can see my latest piece. It's a little bit of a personal story in there, but wrapped up in the idea that somehow the pro-life party that is now basically killing women and infants across the country, because infant mortality rates and maternal mortality rates are going up in the states where there are the most restrictive abortion bans. And in particular, people who don't have the resources to leave and go have abortion in other states. There are women who have medically necessary situations, ectopic pregnancies, fetuses that will not survive, women who are in danger of being in sepsis, in danger of not being able to have children in the future. So these folks who want to control our bodies, determine how we plan our families, we need to find ways to stop them. And one of the suggestions, of course, I keep talking about is the Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. Judge Susan Crawford, who is running for that vacant seat, that race is on April 1st. So I know that my friend who sent me a link to the protest tonight, there is a protest tonight at the Fine Arts Building in Chicago. On the same invite to that protest, they're protesting to demand that Hakeem Jeffries, the Representative Hakeem Jeffries, be a leader and do the right thing and let us know that someone's doing something for the love of God. That is going to be in half an hour, about 20 minutes, at the Fine Arts Building at 410 South Michigan Avenue. And in that link that our friend sent us from Park Ridge, there's also information about going door knocking this Saturday. So you can go to wisdems.org and find out about all the events they have coming up. They also have phone banking for next Wednesday. So go to wisdems.org and sign up for one of their events. Let's get to our longest listener on hold. Myrna, that's almost an hour, my friend. How are you? Thank you for hanging in there. What's on your mind, Myrna? I know. Okay.
No, again.
Oh, boy.
Couple of things. Great news for people who are looking for an economical brand new car. Not available till 2026, but Mexico is making they already have one for $30,000, but they're making their second line of electric cars. Mm-hmm. Price is 90,000 pesos, which adds up to $4,500. They come 2-door, 4-door, and mini truck.
Wow.
And with the 25% tariff, you're still only paying about $4,700 for a brand new vehicle. They're going to make their debut at the 2026 World Cup Games, which ironically is being hosted by Canada, Mexico, and the United States.
Wow.
I wonder how that's going to go with so many foreigners coming to watch the games. I wonder the king and his court jesters are feeling about that many strangers coming into the country.
Yeah, right. How much did you say? Yeah. How much did you say it was going to be? These vehicles?
It's 90,000 pesos, which comes up to about 4,400
really?
Something. Yeah, 4,500. This is something that Dr. Claudia, I like calling her doctor because she deserves the
President
title.
Doctor, yes.
Yes, she had announced this during her campaign. That was one of her main goals, and the line is called Olina or Olinia.
They're so tiny.
And,
they're cute. These are, yes, but I see where they're little cars. They're little. The thing is, I've got to find a better picture because these really look like little toys. So there must be better graphics for this.
And but you figure if you get the mini truck, you can kind of get it worked on, have it like a conversion van type thing.
Sure.
Have somebody work on the inside, and you can make it a little bit bigger. Add on a couple of seats in the back, open the windows and stuff. So, like I said, for less than $5,000, brand new vehicle.
Wow.
And Yeah, so I imagine a lot of Americans are going to be going down there to buy them, considering the price. They can afford it compared to what they're paying here for them.
Wow. Well, I mean, this is for a moment though. I mean, this is what it means to have, a diverse, right, development team with people with different perspectives and open, like thinking out literally outside the box. I'm curious to see how these turn out. All right, what was your next thing? Sorry.
Yeah. People who are commenting about the DEI thing, the situation, how they're mad about it. They don't think people deserve to be, or that program shouldn't exist. Think about this: as soon as Trump decided to get rid of that DEI program, how many airplane crashes did we have? How many did we have before he decided to pull that program? Didn't he tell you something?
I mean, I don't know. I had friends who, comedian Paul Farvar, because people were putting up the headlines about how they had, fired someone from the FAA, that there was, this change and there weren't as many air traffic controllers. And Paul was like, hold on a second, let's not go spreading these stories unless we're sure. I mean, in response to, and that was all coming out as Donald was holding a press conference and basically saying it was because of, it was bonkers watching that in the hours, just the mere hours after so many lives were lost. This turd is out there talking about how it might be because a person of color, and then it's absolutely maddening. I can't believe we're living in this space. And to your point, I mean, and those DEI programs, those diversity, equity, and inclusion programs intended to make sure that people of marginalized communities, including people of color, women, people with disabilities, veterans, people who are older, as one of our callers, Cindy, mentioned earlier, all of that. And that was all, but those programs existed when he was president the first time. It wasn't, like you said, until he disrupted things and they started having shortages of the number of air traffic controllers. And I would imagine a complicated communication systems now. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, and your previous caller mentioned about how the one you mentioned about the people are being let go, older individuals. There's this theme here in the U.S. been going on for a few years. They want people to get jobs. Most places are not hiring people over the age of 50.
Right.
But now they want to get rid of Medicare. They want to get rid of Social Security. Who's affected? People over 50 who are not being hired because of that discrimination. So it's like they don't even think about what they're doing. Especially, I've mentioned to you before, my personal experience is that a lot of people with book smarts don't have common sense.
Yeah.
Those
Dogebags, the Dogebags.
Is that a word I can say?
Dogebags. We'll find out. No, well, don't say it again if you're not sure. Let's not double down on it.
I'm speaking Spanish. Okay, that wasn't
It was in Spanish. It was in Spanish. She said vinegar and water. What?
Yeah. They are, what do you call it? They don't have experience in what they're in. How would I say this? People call them geniuses because of their IQs.
Right.
IQs don't mean anything if you don't know how to use basic knowledge. One of the guys was fired after 2 years working at another company because he sold personal information about the company.
Yes.
I mean, 23 years old.
And he was in our agencies, our federal agencies, getting in there, figuring, looking at all the private information of every. Yeah. What are we doing? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've heard that story about how he was selling information. Yeah, that's awesome. Good job.
Yeah, and all just for money. That's how smart he is.
Now,
and then all of them are basically the same way.
Now, if this were a movie, and I've said this before about other things, but if this were a movie, these young men would be the heroes of the movie, where they're like recording all the sinister stuff that he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have this like tiny little like sparkle sometimes where I think maybe they're the heroes of this story. But no, you know what it is? We are the heroes of this story. It's working together, organizing, and continuing to have these conversations. So. But that's my fictional.
Yeah. I mean, you know what, just last thing, I'm going to send you a video that I want to talk about tomorrow, possible. But I want you to listen to it first.
Okay.
See if it's okay with you. And then I'll call in to see if it's okay for you to play it.
Okay. Sounds good.
So
Thank you.
In a little bit.
All right. Sounds good, Marina.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. We'll get more phone calls, all the phone calls when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. Dave is the next longest listener. So I'll get to his when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
It is that time of year when we're all trying to eat healthier. One of the hardest things to give up is sugar. There's a reason why it's so addictive and why you crave it with such intensity. I recently touched on it in the bittersweet truth about sugar. That was an episode of my podcast, Chasing Life. I spoke with Dr. Laura Schmidt. She's a sociologist and a professor of health policy in the School of Medicine at UCSF. If you're trying to cut back on the amount of sugar you consume, she says, the most important thing to start to avoid is liquid sugar. Sodas, sports drinks, energy drinks. They are by far the largest source of added sugars in the American diet, especially for kids, and they have no nutritional value. You need to remember that. Beyond that, you need to do the obvious things. Put those tempting treats out of sight and out of mind, and pay attention to the portion sizes. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with a sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a Honey Buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for continuing to drive it home with us. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, and I've had some folks on hold for a while. The phone lines have been lit up the whole show. Dave, thank you so much for being patient. What's on your mind, my friend?
Okay. Hey, Craig.
Hey.
Yeah, thinking about listening as I was waiting to get through. The one caller talking about was she got hired on later in life, her career.
Yeah.
Would it be because us people in that age groups can read and write cursive?
Oh, like boy. People. Well, yeah, that's one thing. And talk on the phone. Sorry, young folks.
Well, just a thought, because you ever see the spelling of some of the younger ones?
I'm saying.
And then, and on the Myrna's Wonder car, I would suspect it probably does not have pollution devices on it, such as catalytic converters and such. And you'd have to put on a little bit more than, a bundle, probably about $6,000 to get that converted over to be able to drive it in America. So might be something to look at, because I know people who had bought cars in Europe and they had to get it converted over to meet America's standards. So, and it costed a few extra bucks that way. But anyway, just a thought.
I hear you. It was funny while we were talking about when she was talking about older when you were mentioning older employees. We've been talking in the last few days, of course, these wild claims that Musk made that over 20-some million people are still getting Social Security, even though they're up to 150 years old. And he made jokes about Twilight and vampires and things like that. And I've been mentioning to folks who perhaps aren't aware, and I don't know why people would be. I just happened to grow up in a household with a computer programmer who worked on COBOL programming. And a listener sent me this really good article, and I apologize, I don't have the link back to who sent this to me, about how pervasive COBOL programming is globally. And how many, not just the government, but businesses. It's massive. It's basically like the background software for pretty much everything. And the average, most of the employees, people who are trained in COBOL, are over 45 years old. More than half of them are over 55 years old. And just a quick search, by the way, Dave, I found if you look for COBOL programming jobs, it's between $46 an hour to $90 an hour, and 70% of universities are no longer teaching COBOL, and it's not going anywhere because it's too hard to extract it from the system since everyone relies on it. They bought my mom out in part because they were like, well, we're not going to be using, we're going forward, we're probably not going to use this, because remember, that was Y2K and they haven't done anything about it, and it doesn't look like they can. It's not going anywhere. 70% of all business transactions in the world rely on COBOL, including ATMs, point of sales systems, and healthcare prescriptions. So if you know anybody that wants to know what to do with their lives, tell them to go get COBOL programming training.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
I was talking to Lady B, I mentioning that we're coming up, Monday will be 3 years now, the Ukrainian war. And Trump, with his delusional lie saying that Ukraine attacked, that is not so. Remember, Putin's invasion of Ukraine was called a special military operation. And, in fact, we still can't call it any kind of invasion, and that is forbidden to call it that in Russia. And he also said he wasn't against the Ukrainian people and just those neo-Nazis or whatever that were in the...
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I forgot that wasn't that the Russians said they were going in to get the Nazis. They don't talk about that anymore. Yeah. Remember? We had texters who were like, oh, I guess you love the Nazis. And then they realized, that was a cover. Yeah. And all Nazi meant was nationalism. I know our Professor Joe Oster, who's on Jones' show, has explained that.
Yeah, because... and then he said that he didn't, plan to occupy Ukraine, and, he supported the rights of the people for self-determination.
Right.
And, and it's supposed to only be a 3-day operation, right? Special operation. Yeah. And sure could fool me the way he's been, shelling in cities and stuff like that he didn't have nothing against the Ukrainian people.
Yeah, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. And I don't mean to giggle because it's horrible and people are dying. No. But it's dark. It's horrible. Yep.
And, shortly after it got started, I had always said before on, if not your program, either to Hartman or whoever, that it was going to end up just like what happened when Russia invaded Finland back in 1939. And they had to give up at the end. They ended up giving up 11% of their eastern portion, the Karelian Peninsula, Karelia, to Russia. Yeah. And they still ain't gave it back. But they're going to end up giving up the Donbass and Crimea. That's going to, even though you watch, it'll end up being, for, suing for peace or whatever. They're going to end up giving up that eastern portion.
Well, can I ask you a question as a veteran that someone just texted? The real question is how we react when the traitor orders our troops to help Russia.
Well, Yeah, I don't know. Would it be a lawful order?
Yeah.
A lot of the young guys, they're all pro-Trumpy. A lot of these guys,
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like I say, I don't understand that, and especially like with the Vietnam guys. I'll never understand that.
No.
Like I said before, if you met Clinton or Jay Fonda and that, these guys are traitors. And,
It's a unfortunately limited understanding. I got to run another call, Dave. Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you.
Thought I'd share a little bit of knowledge with you.
Yeah. All right, then. Thank you. Appreciate it. Take care.
Be well.
You too. Let me take Bobby from Indiana. Thank you for calling in today, Bobby. How are you doing?
Oh, Patty Pats, how are you doing?
Hanging in there. How about yourself?
I can imagine. Well, my God, I finally put one over on them MFers.
Uh-oh.
I beat them to the punch. After the election last year in November, I just knew, I knew it. I canceled all my doctor appointments.
Oh.
And wouldn't you know it, Joe, I just heard, I think it was on Joan's show today, that Cotton Top has announced April 1, the end of all telehealth visits.
Oh, and you guys are canceling all your telehealth. Is it just in Indiana, or is that something that's for anybody who's on?
Nationwide.
Ah, jeez.
And that's how I was getting my,
Right.
But I would imagine most of those benefited people out where I am, rural farm type folk, who now got to figure out if they still want any doctor and how to crawl into a doctor. I wonder how many more Trump flags will be coming down and going in the fireplace.
We'll see. I don't know. They're holding on for. They're not even just holding on. They're absolutely with bangs, just biting down hard on this nonsense. They love it. They love it. They're doing everything I wanted them to. You're just crying because your Democrats won't be able to benefit from all these welfare programs and these entitlement programs. Okay. Guess who? Everybody has something invested in this. We all got skin in this game, man.
I know, but apparently that's another thing that the word has been. People have been calling into these shows saying that they had seen people taking down their flags and signs and Trump garbage. Apparently they've gotten bitten by something he's done already.
Maybe.
And so
we'll see.
I don't know, but
I'll let you know if my neighbor takes his crap down. I'll let you know. He had like the whole lawn. Yeah. He had the whole with the fist bump at the when he got shot at and all that stuff. Yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know when that comes down, but it ain't coming down anytime soon. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll get something that trips his trigger to clean the yard up.
Thanks a lot. Thanks so much. Take care, Bobby.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's take a break here. We'll get to your calls when we come back. 773-763-9278. That is the number to call or text us. And we'll be right back after these messages.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy tonight, a low temperature of 11 degrees. Friday looks mainly sunny with a high of 30 and winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10. Saturday, sunshine with a high temperature of 34. On Sunday, cloudy skies with a high temperature of 42. Monday, partly sunny and a high of 48. Tuesday, cloudy, high of 46 degrees. And for Wednesday, showers with high temperatures again in the mid-40s. That's the latest Chicago weather update.
Right now,
It's 21.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Bridget, first-time homebuyer, posted this 5-star review about her mortgage experience. Team Hochberg made one of the biggest and nerve-wracking milestones in our life such an enjoyable experience. David and Anna talked us through every step in our home buying journey with a very tight timeline and made us feel comfortable every step of the way. We put in an offer at the beginning of November, and with Team Hochberg's help and expertise, we're able to close on our home by the end of the same month. I couldn't say better things about them and our experience. Team Hochberg all the way. Thank you, Bridget. If you'd like this type of 5-star service on your next mortgage, call Team Hochberg now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That number one more time and that website you love, 855-563-2843, and go to 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, could potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities, in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Your calls are being answered in the order they were received. It's true. Thank you for waiting. We appreciate your patience. Hi, Andrew in Detroit. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, that wasn't a long wait at all from me. So
you were the longest in the queue. I assure you. I have before I ask you what's on your mind, my friend. I have a question for you because somebody asked, where are you tuning in to WCPT? Are you listening online on an app?
I am receiving WCPT through, yes, it is an app, through, TuneIn.
There you go. TuneIn. Excellent. Now, were you looking for like progressive talk, or how did you come across our station?
You know what the sin of it is? We have no progressive radio station in the city of Detroit. What the hell is the problem?
I know. This is the lack of playing the long game like Republicans have. They invested heavily in we think about Fox, but really it was the Rush Limbaugh networks going into rural areas, buying up all the airtime. I mean, it was Republicans doing it very methodically. And after Reagan, sort of destabilizing the entire system of how we used to. Remember, you had to do fair time, equal time. If you had a Republican on your show, in particular, it was candidates, you had to offer the equal and fair time to their opponent. But we don't have to do that. I believe we don't have to do that anymore.
I have been looking, and I'm going to continue looking to find out how I can get to the company now that either owns you or is controlling you.
Oh, we're not controlled. I am not controlled. Believe me, there's no script.
No, that controls WCPT.
Sure, okay.
That controls WCPT. And try to suggest, please come over to Michigan. Let's expand the audience, the blue audience that's in Michigan that isn't hearing you. Help us to. We just voted purple in this last election.
Yeah,
I'm ashamed that
I know.
Michigan went purple. Yeah, so bringing that up, I heard someone earlier in the show saying, what is Hakeem Jeffries doing, this, that, and the other,
sure.
blah, blah, blah. And then I heard you talking about, get involved with the local marches. I had heard from somebody, it may have even been Hakeem Jeffries himself, let me say, I'm not quoting him, but it might not be the best resource to do that at this point. Because, if you're going to your city and you're going to your state house or whatever, that might not be the best avenue right now. And what I think he's thinking is we just got the Democratic National Committee heads put together, and I think we should perhaps wait a little while, very short while, and then we need to flood the phone banks there at the DNC and find out, what are you doing? Where are you going? And then tell us what to do. Tell us where we should go. Maybe we need to go to Washington, like the Women's March. Maybe we need to do something like that, and I don't know what else. But I know that I am going to be haunting the DNC. In a short time here.
Do you have local races? Are there any crucial races that you know of, either in your direct area or in Michigan, coming up? Because we have this Supreme Court race that I've been talking about in Wisconsin, which is crucial. First of all, they have a heinous abortion ban on the books that goes back to the 1849.
That's where people should go.
Yeah, that's. I mean, things like, and even that. Then I have no problem. With what you're talking about is having a strategy, getting their ducks in a row. But I do think that there is something to know that they're fired up, right? Sending out, even here, I would even say this. It's kind of demoralizing to still get emails asking me for money when that's my concern. I mean, and they sort of, put it under the auspices of, but we need to keep fighting the good fight. Well, I need to know that Jasmine Crockett, we get sound bites of her. She's doing great interviews. AOC is doing a good job. I know that Bernie Sanders is still, ringing all kinds of alarm bells and demanding more. But to find out, and Joan mentioned this earlier this week, to find out that they're also trying to figure out TikTok and Instagram, because that's where a lot of people are getting their information. I mean, more people get their information from Instagram, Facebook, YouTube than any other news source. They're not going to MSNBC. They're not going to CNN. They want those 30-second hits. So they need to be nimble. And I know I'm not on it all the time, but I'm doing this for 2 hours a day, having these conversations. And the other thing, Andrew, I do think there would be value to having a press conference every friggin' day, right? And I don't know, or even every Saturday. If I just had every Saturday or Sunday, if we did have, either Biden or Obama, telling us that people are doing the work, that there's a plan in place, or maybe you're right, they don't want to show their hand. I hope that you're right, but we don't have time. Did you get a chance to hear Governor Pritzker's speech yesterday?
Yes, I did. And it was wonderful. The end of his speech. It was fabulous.
It wasn't that magnificent. And at the end of the speech, he talked about the briskness with which Hitler and the Nazis were able to take over. And that was, what did he say, 100 days?
Something like that.
Yeah. And so the clock is ticking, and unless they have some, master, some sort of grand plan that's going to turn this thing around, we are headed in a very dangerous direction. We are in a dangerous place.
Can I sneak in one more thought, Patty, or else I can call tomorrow? Can I sneak in one more?
Yes, go ahead.
My idea is, like you're saying, we need to hear from our representatives. I have contacted my representative and said, you need to send out text messages to all the you have our email addresses. We know that because you send us asking for money. I want to hear from you once a week what you are doing. And that doesn't necessarily mean him, but his office. And they responded that they got my message, but I haven't heard from them since. And it's like, what over here? But Patty, also, if we're asking, like Hakeem Jeffries, make a statement every week. I would prefer not to hear Chucky Schumer ever again in my life, but, maybe somebody else from the Senate. But we've got to have a central place that they're going to do this, where we know where it's going to be, and the people have to be informed. When is this going to happen? What time? What day? So, yes, I agree with you 100%, but they got to tell us where and when this is going to happen. And that's the only way. Until we get our message out. But the orange ape, he gets his message out, doesn't he?
I guess.
Why aren't the Democrats getting the message out?
Right.
Thanks, Patty.
Yep. That they get they not only did they get the message out, they need to know what the message is, and that I think that's where we're struggling.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for calling, Andrew.
Patty.
Thanks for being patient while you were on hold. Have a great night, my friend.
No problem.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's take we can take let's see what time it is. We can get to Roosevelt. Hey, Roosevelt, what's on your mind, my friend?
Patty, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, I'm going to make it real quick. First I want to see if you could guess who this is. I'm so confused.
I don't know who that is.
Comedy. Maybe I'm not doing it right. You remember Benny Barbarino? He would hold his head up and say, I'm confused.
Oh, now it's been a long time since I've had a chance to watch Welcome Back, Kotter.
Okay, well, maybe I got it all wrong. I hope somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. He would grab his head, he put his hands on the side of his head, and say, I'm so confused. The sweat hogs and all that. Well, I'm older than you, so I can't expect you to remember that. First, let me start with Myrna. Did she say that she was from the state of Nuevo León? To be specific, Monterrey, Nuevo León?
I believe she did. Mm-hmm. I believe she did.
That's where I'm from. That's where I was from. I was born in Nuevo León. I knew we had something
I didn't
in
know
common.
that.
Yeah, from Nuevo León, right next to Texas, where we have a border with Texas. So, as a kid, we would always go to Texas to do our shopping for like Christmas and stuff like that. Because for years, for decades, maybe hundreds of years, my grandfather used to say, there was no such thing as papers back then. Matter of fact, my mom told me the other day that they went and got my grandma's wedding dress in Texas. And to further explain about Texas, we are descendants, meaning from my mother's side of the family, we're all from Zapata, Texas. Zapata, Texas. It's a small town. And the last name is Chapa, C-H-A-P-A. So there's a lot of Chapas there, which I guess we're distant kin, let's say. But let me tell you what I call. Okay. So you guys keep on breaking every time, and you're telling there's a guy that's on there that represents Trump, saying that what the president did on his first term. Well, what the president did on his first term is to shake down the president of Ukraine. Isn't that right? And wasn't he impeached for that? So what is it that he did that was so fantastic to help Ukraine? Mm-hmm. You guys keep on playing you keep on playing the video. That's why I'm confused. Back to Benny Barbarino. I'm confused. And then now they're sort of walking this back with the fact that he called the president. How are you going to sit down at a table when the person that's inviting you or not inviting you, like Trump and Putin, they call you a dictator? Suppose it was the other way around. Suppose it was Ukraine that said that he was a dictator. He has every right to say that, but he didn't say that. He said that the president is missing. What did he say? What did the president of Ukraine say about Trump? That he basically he lives in another world.
Well, and that he was spreading the same propaganda that Russia does. We've known he's Putin's puppet for a while.
Yeah. So now, see what you think about this. How are you going to be able to do anything now? The cat's out of the bag. The genie is out of the bottle. Meaning you're already talking garbage against the guy that supposedly you want him to sit down at the table and saying that you're saying that they should have elections in Ukraine. Who are you to say that? And remember, he's the guy that refused to give Ukraine javelins and stuff that was already appropriated by Congress. He stopped it. he put a halt on it and put a condition against the president of Ukraine. He tried it back to what I said before, back to shaking him down like organized crime. So what is it? How if I'm Ukraine or if I'm Zelensky, what's going to make me come to the table now?
No, it makes no sense. Yeah, no, it makes no sense. You're right.
And one thing that I don't think either you or Jonas DeVito or Richard, all day I've been waiting for you guys to mention that. Europe is scared.
Yeah.
Europe had I don't know if you heard that they had an emergency meeting
on Monday. Correct. Yep.
Yeah. They're trying to help Ukraine because they can't rely on this guy because we're on basically we're the criminals in a Batman series. Remember the Batman series? Well, that's before your time too. Anyway, the Joker and so on, the Riddler, the Penguin. So he's letting all the criminals out. I'm heading in a different direction, Patty, which is this. He pardoned Blagojevich, Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to pardon the guy in New York, Adams, right? Democrat. And the next guy in line is Melendez. He's arming himself with ex-Democrats and 1,500 of his closest supporters that were in jail. Notice what he's doing. On one side, he's got a set of Democrats. Oh, and he's got also an ex-Democrat, which is Bobby. So let's pay attention to what he's doing. He's arming himself. He's sort of building a wall of people that support him. And am I right in saying this? Did he say at one time to these criminals that they let loose, you owe me or you owe your life or something to that effect?
That sounds familiar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there you go. It's the same thing as a cowboy movie. You grab a rope, you put it to the bars, the jail bars, and you pull the rope and you let everybody out. That's what he's doing. Basically, it's just a cowboy movie. Again, and then they go rob the bank, which is what they're doing already. You see what I'm saying?
1,000%.
Yeah, so I don't know what you think, but I'm going to send you some other stuff that I can't think of right now.
I hear you.
But,
I know.
Yeah, but again, you guys keep on playing this snippet of somebody that's talking for him and saying his first presidency. He didn't do nothing for Ukraine the first presidency. He tried to halt the weapons to go to Ukraine. The opposite. So, man. But to me, this is the way I feel. To me, today, democracy died because people around the world that are looking for us to lead the beacon of freedom and democracy, that's dead. When you said what you said against Ukraine, you're showing the world that you're not standing side of the little guy versus big, bad Russia. And I don't know, man. To me, something big happened just these 2 past days, when it comes down to the situation. Because it's bigger than Ukraine. This thing that he did is bigger than Ukraine. Who's going to confide in him? Who's going to say, hey, wait a minute. The United States is great. That's gone. Like I said, that's,
Yeah. By the way, I got an update from Myrna. Myrna says, yes, my family's from Monterey, the actual city, not a surrounding colonia. And Roosevelt and I might be related somewhere down the line. We have Chapa in our family also.
Oh, wow. What a coincidence.
There you go.
Wow.
Making those connections.
All right, Cousin Myrna. There was something else I wanted to tell you, but I can't think of it, so I'm going to send it to you. I won't hold you.
Well, I've got to go to the break. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Roosevelt.
Right,
look at that. Connected family members. I love it. Take care. Bye, Roosevelt. Let's take a break here. We got some more phone calls to get to, and we'll continue the conversation when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Join me and WCPT Radio at the Southland Friends of Labor 16th Annual Jobs Breakfast, Monday, February 24th. We will be in Joliet at IBEW Local 176. This special union event is free to all active and retired union members and all WCPT listeners. Come and enjoy a great breakfast and WCPT's special broadcast with me. Guests being interviewed include Andy Rico, Business Manager, IBEW Local 176, Bob Howard, President of the Chicago and Western Lakesport Council, and Stephen Powell, President of Local 881 UFCW. Doors open at 7:30. If you want to attend, please call or text 708-996-1291 and leave a voicemail to save a seat. Free to all WCPT listeners and active and retired union members. See you on the 24th.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Count me among the Americans that want to see change. Now, of course, the change I was looking for would have put Kamala Harris in the White House. Americans voted for change. They just, Trump, I think they got the wrong kind. Still, I'm grateful for elections, even when we lose. They tell us about ourselves, and we can't ignore that and shouldn't.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hi, this is Patti Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine, and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Well, we are getting some interesting texts from the 708 in LaGrange. The first letter of their name is R. You know, reverse phone number lookup is fun. Let's take some of our callers here. We've got David in Chicago. Hi, David. How are you doing?
I'm very good, my dear, and I'm 90 years old.
Oh, hey, how you doing, David?
Thank you. I was born in the Great Depression, lived through World War II. Time we had Victory Gardens with all our brave men fighting fascism, and here you got this guy Trump and his fascist followers trying to bring that evil system to our country. And they're cooperating with a communist known as Putin.
Yes.
He's a communist. Now, we got two problems, and a lot of people won't recognize it, and they're doing a double teaming of us. And I don't know why we allowed this. That Elon Musk, he should be sent back to South Africa, where he's from. He's not an American. And he's handling our budget and cutting all these necessary programs for us to survive. And Vice President Trump, he's a complete idiot. Anybody that would say that Ukraine started the war, and if you remember, in his first term, I realized these people were coming there illegally. Okay, they broke the law. But what human being would take little kids and put them in cages?
Right.
Shame on him.
I agree. David, I have so many questions. Where did you grow up, my friend?
Bridgeport, Illinois.
All right.
Bridgeport.
And how old were you when you enlisted?
What?
Did you enlist or were you drafted?
No, I never was. I had to do I would have been in the Korean War.
Okay.
If I didn't have total support, I was given total support. My grandmother, my father, and my mother. So I was the only person working. So I didn't end up in the Korean War.
My father had the same situation. He would have been 90. He would have been 92, so very close in age to you, and had the same situation where he was the only support for his family. And you're right, having lived through all this, and I know you're asking like, how did we get here? I know how for my mother, who is 90 years old as well. Not that I'm trying to do a romantic connection here at all, but are you still married?
Yes.
Good for you, David. Excellent. Go ahead.
And keep up the good work. And we got 4 years of some rough times. And I lived through the Great Depression, World War II. So we survived, and we shall do it again.
Yes. And we need to hear more of that, David. We will survive. We'll do it again. We'll rise from this madness. Yep.
Who was the singer that sang the song "I Will Survive"?
Oh, you know how bad I am with music. I know it's a disco, so it's one of my favorites. But when we're not allowed to play a lot of music, but I'll try to remember.
Right.
I love that. I love that you called. I love that you survived and reminded us of how much we have been through before, including people like you who've seen it all. And I will say that so much of the division, unfortunately, has come from the way we use social media. It's Gloria Gaynor. Everyone right now is screaming at their radios. It's Gloria Gaynor. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. And David, I really appreciate hearing from you and that you shared your insight with us and your wisdom and your concerns and also your confidence in our ability to get through this. So thank you so much, my friend.
Yes, and you too. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. We made it, Lady B. I love you. Our good friend Randy Rhodes is up next, followed by Matt McNeil. We'll be back tomorrow. Senator Dan Katowski will be joining me as guest co-host. Bye, everybody.
In a new Porsche, performance, style, and class come together to elevate every drive. Come find your new Porsche from the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park today. Stop in to test drive the latest models, including a new 2020